That is the first part of the eastern gate. There are large blast holes in that gate. The sun is setting in this area just behind us, so it's starting to become darker. Over here, you're seeing them. These are cars that belong to the Gadhafi regime. They are sitting on them. They are blowing off rounds on the top of them. That is obviously a close security for the Gadhafi regime. I'm going to try not to get hit by any of those rounds. And then if you go just over here, you see the people streaming into the main gate. Now, that's all the way into the compound. So you see people streaming into the main gate of the compound, a lot of smoke coming from the compound. You see these huge walls. These were supposed to be protective walls. This also gives you a sense of the power of the Gadhafi regime. This, honestly, is the nicest part of the city. You're seeing these large, very nicely painted... Sanjeev, let's pull back a little bit. Let's pull back just a little bit. Let's just pull back, because I'm getting hit by some of the shells. Yeah, it's getting a little bit too loud for you guys to hear me, and a little bit too much celebrating. But we're trying to get away from the. I just got hit a little bit with one of the shells from one of those guns.
Sarah,
we don't want to get.
Sarah, we can hear you. We can hear you just fine. But maybe you should take some cover here. Go back to the wall where it's safe, possibly.
Yeah, we are back behind a wall. We're between two walls right now. What I can tell you is, Raja, would you mind picking up some of those? There's some uniforms back there. There are...
Okay. Sarah,
we're okay. We're between two walls now. We're fine.
Yeah, carry on.
We're between two walls.
I think we've lost your audio again, Sarah. Let's see if we can reconnect the audio, because what you're telling us is great. We still have the picture, and Sanjeev obviously showing us one of the uniforms that has been left behind. That's a Gadhafi uniform, I believe. Gadhafi soldier may have shed that on the way out. Sarah, are you back? Carry on.
Yeah. Okay, can you hear my audio now? Are you guys hearing me?
Yeah, we got you, Sarah. You carry on. You're the best judge of your own safety there.
This is one of the uniforms. Yeah, we're okay. Please don't shoot, sir. We are in between two walls, so we're fine. But, you know, as people drive by in their trucks, they're so excited. And this is something that has become a bit of a problem in the city as they blast these guns through the city. We don't know where those are going to land, and it is surrounded by a neighborhood. We're going to put this down. There's a bunch of more of these in the back. There are even guns that are back there that we were seeing some of the rebels pick up. Sanjeev, do you want me to move out a little bit? I'll let you see the scene just behind me of some of the rebels. Now you're seeing some of the other media come into this area to show what is happening to this Bab el-Jazia compound. This is just, I have to tell you, it's one of those moments where you realize you are watching history being made right before your eyes. I know both of you have been in these situations throughout your many years of reporting, and it gives you a sense that you're seeing things up close and personal. It is an astonishing and amazing day here in the Capitol.
It highlights the reality. This is not a civil war. This was a national uprising against Gadhafi. Some of the tribes that joined in were from the east and some were from the west. Gadhafi was isolated with a small number of supporters. Any regime like this will always have supporters because they have enormous patronage, enormous amounts of money. But basically what you're seeing is a uniting of Libyan opposition groups, of Libyan tribes against Gadhafi, and that's why, no matter how long this last phase takes, the result is predetermined. Gadhafi's regime will fall.
Well, we've seen that you have the NTC in Benghazi. They're essentially government in waiting, this transitional council. Should we expect that these fighters who swarmed into Tripoli from the west predominantly let the NTC just kind of waltz in and they get to start calling the shots? How will that work going forward?
It's a crucial question. We don't know because this is a very loosely coordinated effort. Clearly, the NTC is now trying to establish some rules of the road. They're not trying to sweep in and say, we're the new government. What they're trying to do is establish some rules, such as, very importantly, no reprisals, no revenge. They're trying to minimize the looting. This is all very, very important. It's really, the NTC seems to have looked at Iraq and is trying to do exactly the opposite of what happened in Iraq. They're trying to make clear that the old regime and elements of the old regime will not be discriminated immediately, there will not be reprisal killings. They're trying to say order is more important than anything else. We will retain the police, we will retain the civil service, we will retain all healthcare workers, we will try to restart normal functioning of society. So that seems to be the heart of what they're doing. One hopes these fighters would agree with it, because they're not. The Transitional Council is not saying, recognize us as the president, vice president, and prime minister. They're saying, let's try to make sure this place doesn't come unglued.
But here's potentially one concern. The question that everyone's asking, and I think Fareed, you're the best person to answer it. What about this variable? What about Muslim fundamentalists? Might they be a worry here?
I think we have worried too much about Islamic jihadists in Tunisia, in Egypt, in Bahrain, in Syria, and in Libya. Look, Gadhafi was a very, very tough opponent of al-Qaeda. He slaughtered thousands and thousands of militant Islamists. So I doubt very much that, that there is a great upsurge of Islamic fundamentalism that is going to battle these new forces. In every Muslim society, there's going to be some of it, and it's going to be something you have to deal with. But I don't see anything in the Libyan case that suggests that we should worry that there's going to be some kind of takeover by al-Qaeda. They seem very few, very far between. We haven't heard much from them. And I think it says more about the kind of demons we worry about than anything on. Listen to the reporters on the ground. CNN has such good ones.
Right.
None of them are detecting any great al-Qaeda presence there.
You're right, and we've had people in with the rebels from the west and from the east.
It's the people in Washington who talk about it, not the people in Libya.
Okay, well, that'll quell some concerns for now, I suppose.
We have just had to flee the compound, the Bab al-Azizia compound, where the Gadhafi is believed to have been. What we did was, as we were wrapping up and putting away, take some pictures deep inside the compound, we saw suddenly tracer fire, and we know the difference now between the celebratory fire. The fire was coming low and towards us. People were running. We could actually hear the bullets passing by us, and it was definitely time to get out of there. All of a sudden, we saw the rebels and some of the residents who had come into the compound suddenly streaming out, running as fast as they could to take cover and to get out of the eastern gate, eastern side of the compound. And so we have moved out of the area. It is now becoming dark in the city. There are no lights on one half of the city. I'm not seeing any lights, no street lights. It's a very sort of eerie feeling. It's very, very quiet where we are, but we have left the compound because there was definitely incoming fire. Now that incoming fire believed to be coming from far outside of the compound. So the headline is that Gadhafi is targeting Bab al-Azizia, his own compound. It's been an extraordinary day watching this unfold in the way that it has. I think that everyone, including the rebels themselves, are quite surprised how quickly they were able to get into what they feel is sort of Gadhafi's personal space, to get into a place where most people were not allowed to go unless they were a close ally or friend of the Gadhafi family. And so seeing people run in there and get things such as police cars and security cars and weapons, they were bringing out suitcases of weapons, and it was just one of those situations where you realize that history was being made and the Gadhafi regime had been extremely weakened if the rebels were able to get into this very large compound.